What's going on YouTube?
Washington.
This is Marty 4 here once again. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Marty 4 here once again, and I'm here for my very first. I'm gonna test this to see how this goes. Reviewing The Walking Dead. We're on season 4, the mid-season premiere, called After. The episode starts off with Michonne. We see Michonne, still back at the prison, and a couple of the guys that was with the governor are walkers now, and they're trying to attack her. She's slit slicing bitches, as Michonne usually does. She's really good at that, and she gets back into that default way of surviving where she cuts off walkers' arms and lower jaws and kind of uses them as kind of like a cloak amongst other walkers, because if they don't have any arms, they can't scratch you and infect you. If they don't have any lower jaws, they can't bite you and infect you. So armless, jawless walker is harmless. Well, yeah, an armless, jawless walker is harmless. Yeah, I said that right. So then she comes across Herschel's head, which is now a walker head. And it's just so sad to see Herschel as a walker. Just back in December when they did the mid-season finale, I was just so like, I can't believe he's dead. Like, I just went through like an emotion, like, oh my God, I felt so bad. And then everybody's scattered. Don't nobody know where the fuck anybody is at this point, and it's just terrible. So we pan over to the meat of the episode, which is between Carl and Rick. If y'all see me looking over here, I got my notes. And so as they're walking, Carl's walking ahead, and Rick is still hobbling from his fight with the governor, and he's trying to tell Carl to stop, and Carl keeps looking back and looking at him with this stank face, and I'm just like, let me tell you something. I haven't been here for Carl since I can't even think all the way back far, but I know, remember when he got shot trying to look for that deer? I felt bad then, but after a while, Carl started getting on my nerves. I was just like, can he die? I was kind of ready for him to die at this point. Excuse me. But he was giving all this attitude, and Rick was just taking it like, listen, let me continue, because it gets worse. It really does. So they get to what looks like this bar or a tavern. I'm not exactly sure what that was, what kind of eatery it was. And, they're looking through and they're searching, and they find this walker. And Rick tries to tell Carl not to shoot it, because, they can just take it down, it's weak. So Rick releases the thing, and then he tries to, the axe in the head, but it got stuck and he didn't die. And so Carl shot him and was like, what did I told you not to do that. I told you I had it. But he was like, the axe didn't work. So he was just like, that was kind of like the beginning of Carl trying to be independent and kind of being rebellious against Rick. And I wasn't here for it. I was like, Carl, you do know by now that shots attract these things. It's important to kill them without shooting them if all possible. But, Carl felt like he knew what was best. So, but this is one of the parts that I want to get into, is when they get to this house and they're searching and shit. Rick tries to, tell Carl what to do, and then Carl starts going off talking about, hey shithead, hey fuckface, or something he was saying. If I was Rick, I would have backhanded the entire fuck out of that motherfucker. I'll be like, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to. I don't know what this language is that you think you're speaking, but we could be in the motherfucking zombie apocalypse. I don't give a fuck. You still ain't gonna sit here and just be disrespectful like that, mother. Rick, Carl had, I don't know, I already don't too much care for Carl, and so if I was in Rick's position, I would have gladly slapped that bitch, but, whew, Lord, I just got my blood pressure up and everything, just talking about, and then he threw that dig when they were trying to protect the house to sleep for the night. Carl wrapped a little rope around, and then Rick is trying to put the sofa just in case, and he was like, we don't need that, the rope is good, and he's like, this is just in case. And he said it was a such and such knot, Shane taught me. You remember him? I was like, oh, you tried it. I went to fuck you up. I went to fuck Carl up because that was so unnecessary. And does Carl not know what happened? Why Shane had to die? Did he not? He must have been oblivious because if he knew that he was fucking his mama, he probably would have, felt a different way about it. But he was just throwing digs, and Rick was just letting that shit slide. And I was just like, bitch, if you don't. So this is the part where we get to Michonne getting like a somewhat of a peek into her backstory. We see she's in this really nice house. You see these big windows over Atlanta, and her boyfriend and his friend are talking. And you see her. She got a nice little shape going. She got her African queen colors on, green and orange. Her hair is all curled and stiff. I'm like, look at Michonne, looking all nice and clean and together. I was going to say, okay, bitch, I see you. All right. And we get to see her son that she had. Now, this is the thing that kind of confused me about her son. We see Michonne's a complexion, we see her boyfriend's a complexion, and they said our son, so I assume that's their son together. But why was he so light? I wanted to just know, was he adopted? Was he really that son? It just kind of baffled me that the son was so light and they're so dark, but it is what it is. But as the scene goes, we see Michonne stays, in a happy place and whatnot. We can clearly tell it's like a flashback, or now it's starting to turn into a dream because now her boyfriend and her friend have like changed clothes and now they look like they're beat up and they're trying to ask questions like, what should we do? Like they're pretty much like going forward, like what happened after the whole apocalypse hit, and then Michonne's still stuck. Like this is where you kind of could tell it's like a dream, and she's like wondering what the fuck's going on. And the next time they pan to the boyfriend and them, like their arms and stuff are cut off and they're just looking dead. Like, and then she wakes up, and so that kind of alludes to the fact that when we first saw Michonne in the beginning of season 3, that the 2 walkers that she was walking with was her boyfriend and his friend. So she was just kind of remembering the traumatic experience, I guess, from what happened then. It was kind of interesting because we've been trying to figure out what Michonne's story was. We didn't know nothing about her. We got to know like little hints of what could be about her, like when she grabbed that baby last season and started crying, that kind of alluded to the fact that, well, maybe one day she had a son or a child or what have you. So we get back to the house with Carl and Rick are, and Carl wakes up. We see Rick still sleeping or whatever, so he gets some cereal and whatnot. They goes upstairs, he starts eating, and then he comes back and he's trying to wake up Rick, and he's sitting there yelling, talking about, wake up, wake up. I'm like, bitch, could you be any louder, you dumbass? And lo and behold, his ass done attracted some damn walkers that tried to get to his ass by the front door. And he goes out the back door, sees them, leads them away from the house, or tries to lead them away from some house. And where he keeps backing up, he knows that there's some more coming from the other way. At this point, I'm excited, because I'm like, yes, they about to get his ass. Carl's about to fucking die. I can't wait. I don't know. I just can't stand his ass. But lo and behold, the walkers pile on top of him, and he lives. Whatever. Anyways, but Carl comes back. Hold on, let me scroll down. Carl comes back to his dad. He's still asleep. He goes off talking about some, I don't need you. You let everybody down. Where were you when everybody needed you? And this was the part that pissed me off. He was talking about you weren't there for mom and such and Judith. I was like, bitch, let me tell you something. Your mom was the dumbass who didn't abort the damn baby, and she was the one, hell, that probably, and we still don't know, that could have been Shane's baby. And if she had not been fucking Shane, she wouldn't have got pregnant and she wouldn't have died. So your mama is to blame for her own death. Okay? Rick had nothing to do with that shit. There was nothing, absolutely nothing that Rick could do as far as Lori dying. And even if it is Rick's baby and he's the one that got her pregnant, the bitch should have took the abortion pills when she had the chance, but she wanted to do and throw up. So I had to clock Carl on that one. I was like, you will not blame Rick for that fuck shit. I was just like, you was just sitting here going off, and anybody have. Anyways, so Carl goes in the neighborhood. I don't know if he just left Rick. I don't know how far away he went, but I was like, you're gonna leave him asleep? Okay. He went off to search for food and shit, and he opens up this door in this room, and the zombie comes out, and I was just like, oh Lord. And so that zombie got so close to biting him. I was just waiting for it. I just was really waiting for it, but he escaped again. They just took his shoe. Whatever. Then we pan back over to Michonne, and Michonne is walking in the herd of zombies, and we see the zombie who has like the box braids, who kind of looks like her, and she's just looking at her. I almost wanted to say like she recognized her, but no, I think once we started watching The Talking Dead, they explained that she kind of looked at her, and it did look like her, and she kind of felt like, this is what I look like. Like, I'm walking around in this herd of walkers, and she looks like me, and it's like I'm looking at myself if I were dead. And she gets the realization, like, I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die. I'm not ready to be about this type of life. So she just kills everybody. She kills the walker that looks like her. She just starts slice every which direction, and everybody's head just goes down. She even just kills the people who were her little pets that she was carrying around as her camouflage. She just laying there in the open like, I want to live. I'm not ready to die. And so far, Michonne is my favorite character just because she's a badass bitch. And then I got to see what she looked like before the apocalypse, and she was all dressed up. If y'all saw the episode, y'all know what I'm talking about. She was all dressed up, hair was done. She still had that katana blade, and I was like, yes, Michonne, yes. Let's see. And then the ending of this episode is where, after Carl was on top of some rooftop eating a whole bunch of pudding, he comes back to Rick, and I was, at this point, I'm like, is Rick dead or not? Because he hasn't woke up. Like, it's been all day. Like, Carl woke up, went scavenged for food, almost died twice, found some food, sat up top, walked around a bit, came back, and this nigga still asleep? I'm like, is he dead or what? Because I feel like, well, if he was, I feel like he probably would have turned by now. But if he's not, why is he in a coma? Is he knocked out? Is he unconscious? What's going on? And Carl starts to see some motion. Like, his head started jerking or something. And then he started moving and shit and grunting. I'm like, oh, hell, Rick's a fucking walker. I was like, can they really kill Rick? Like, can they do that? Like, I thought he's one of those characters who's, like, not allowed to die. But, so we see what we think is a freaking zombie, and Rick is sitting there crawling to Carl and shit like this, and Carl was, that's what I wanted to mention. When Carl was going off talking about, he didn't protect his mom and all the other shit, he's trying to say that, I wouldn't mind if you were dead. But then when we get to this part and he thinks he's a zombie, he's about to shoot him, he backs out that shit. And I was like, that's what I thought. And then the scene ends when Michonne follows the tracks of Rick and Carl, and she makes it to the window, and they kind of reunite, and they have like that moment of hope. So that's the episode of Walking Dead. I don't know if how this episode or how this videos will do, how popular they are. See how I like them. I may continue to do the reviews. But if you guys like them, make sure you give a thumbs up and leave a comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe.
Washington.